opportunity to enter into the highly competitive film industry. But during his time in college, Kojima became enamored with the emerging video game media and spent many of his off hours playing Miyamoto's Super Mario Bros. And a murder mystery adventure called Portopia Renzoku Satsujin Jaiken. Then, following his graduation from college, he applied for a job at Konami's Osaka office, hoping to break into the expanding video game development space and build his very own experiences for Nintendo's family. But when he finally received the offer, he was assigned to work for Konami's MSX division instead. While grateful for the opportunity, he couldn't help but be disappointed. He was determined to make a name for himself, but the MSX's technical limitations made that goal seem less attainable. His first project in the MSX team was a sequel to an action-adventure platforming game called Antarctic Adventure. Hideo, serving as the system designer, contributed a great deal to the creation of this game, allowing it to stand out drastically from its predecessor. The first game was pretty good graphics, creating sequences of dodging obstacles along tutorial routes. But the sequel offered a plethora of changes, including power-ups, varied environments, and even alternate endings dependent on the player's performance. Konami was impressed. Kojima had no prior experience after all, and it became clear within only the first few months that he possessed a natural gift for this. So, to test it further, there's even something a bit more challenging to work on, and had him take over as the lead designer for a side-scrolling platform called Lost World. But when Kojima presented this overly ambitious design document to the executives at Konami, they rejected the changes and decided to redirect Kojima towards making a military combat title instead. Something that would be in the same vein as popular arcade shooters at the time like Capcom's Commando. Disheartened, but still determined, Kojima began to piece together another design document. He recognized early on that the MSX's biggest handicap was its inability to display more than 4 horizontal sprites at once, making the large battle sequences associated with games like Commando impossible. So, to circumvent this issue, he thought of a creative solution. The game would still have soldiers, but rather than feature non-stop open combat across a scrolling environment, why not give players a chance to avoid the combat altogether? The game concept strongly around his love of the 1960s Sturgis film The Great Escape, where a band of POWs attempted to escape from the Nazi prison camp during World War II. And it came to deliver that same tension of almost being caught into a fully interactive experience. By doing this, Kojima would be able to make even a single combative soldier on screen feel more intimidating than the dozens and other, more conventional shooter games at the time. Kojima then presented his design document to the executives at Konami, with the working title Metal Gear Intruder. But to his dismay, it too was rejected. They had asked Kojima to deliver an exciting action experience, and were concerned that by forcing players to constantly avoid confrontation, the game's hero may come off as cowardly and wouldn't appeal to Western audiences. Kojima took his rejected design and reapproached the concept. He remained convinced that this new stealth action route was the way to go. But rather than have a game over screen appear when the player was caught, he incorporated a new alert phase, giving players a chance to fight back, or flee if they wanted to. The new alert phase was likened to that of Pac-Man, offering a fresh change-up to the pacing that would keep the player invested for longer. And because of this, Konami agreed to greenlight production of Kojima's directorial debut, Metal Gear. Development for Metal Gear was handled by a remarkably small team of programmers and artists. While Kojima handled the core game design and writing, a trio of programmers led by Hideyo worked within the confines of the slightly newer MSX2 hardware to make Hideyo's ideas occur. This required them to piece together a protection system from scratch, along with enemy control routes that would be set with each screen refresh. Meanwhile, a pair of artists sculpted the pixelated walls of Metal Gear's industrial environment, using a limited color palette of only 16 colors, while also ensuring each character and level design didn't come off too much like a childish cartoon. They generated hundreds of interconnected mazes, using simplistic geometric shapes and angled perspectives to help give the walls a perceivable depth. And then they worked with the programming team to balance out enemy patrol pathing and obstacles without overstepping the MSX2's rendering limitations. Meanwhile, lead sound designer Yukimi Mikami was team in the Konami Square Wave project formulated the sound effects and the score, to enhance the reaction further from a dynamic soundtrack that would alter based on the anime styles. It was a bold step for video game sound design, as most titles during that time period just utilized a single audio track per level to save on memory. But it tweaked it they critically become as compared to the opportunity to get a full experience, the data or making narrative. The portfolio is simple. Spy infiltrates a secret facility, saves some hostages, and stops a dangerous superweapon from destroying the world. But even this seemingly straightforward narrative was uncommon for its time, and would serve as a jumping-off point for one of gaming's most beloved stories. Finally, in the summer of 1987, after nearly a year of development, Konami released the original Metal Gear, exclusively from MSX platform. Metal Gear takes place in the then futuristic year of 1995. Highly organized paramilitary force has established a militant state in southern Africa called Overwatch. This growing threat may possess nuclear capabilities. An American Special Forces unit called Foxhound is sent in to investigate. But after the unit's most skilled field agent, Gray Fox, is captured, rookie soldier Solid Snake is sent in after to rescue him, and to ascertain the whereabouts of the rumored superweapon, Metal Gear. Players assume the role of the rookie Snake as they infiltrate Outer Heaven and search for clues pertaining to Gray Fox and Metal whereabouts. Along the way, players will encounter a number of obstacles, handling enemy sentries, security devices, and a band of powerful mercenaries, each with their own special funds, and cheesy nicknames to build on them. But as Snake learns more about Outer Heaven and its powerful nuclear-equipped bipedal weapon, the stakes are risen sharply. It becomes clear that not everyone can be trusted. Without spoiling anything, Metal Gear's narrative was revolutionary at its time. Sure, RPGs in the late 80s and 90s had plenty of rich narratives woven in, but to have even a hint of that within the confines of an action-adventure game is highly unusual. On top of that, the game's big twist and clever fourth wall breaking would set the scene for the franchise moving forward. But of course, the real selling point back then was not its story, rather its highly unique gameplay. Metal Gear, at its core, is a stealth action-adventure, where sneaking past enemies whenever possible is encouraged. Most of the game is played from a semi-top-down perspective. It tasks players with navigating Snake through maze-like level environments while avoiding detection from patrolling enemies. If Snake wanders into like sight, then a red exclamation mark will appear over the enemy gun, and the activation immediately will fight for players. Players can choose to stay and fight off the alerted enemies, or alternatively, they can run off the screen to reset the alert status completely. When the player triggers a base-wide alarm, things get a bit more challenging, as enemy reinforcements will appear in greater numbers, and escaping to the next room won't necessarily help most of the time. What's more, enemies in Metal Gear deal some serious damage, enough that a direct confrontation with multiple enemies at once will often end in the player staring at a game over screen. To help even the odds, players must be more patient in their approach, and make use of an assortment of various tools and weapons collected throughout the course of their adventure. Upon deployment, Snake is armed with nothing more than a pack of cigarettes, and a radio transmitter to communicate with a support team. But if the player explores enough of the game world and is sure to backtrack and open previously locked doors, then they'll discover items that can make infiltration
8-inch. It added the S Pen and got a little more refined, and it replaced the Note. Now it's just everything. It's just everything in one place. It's all the best hardware, all the best software I can think of, all in one phone. So on the outside, like I said in my early impressions, this phone looks almost the same as last year's phone. But if you think this phone is almost the same as last year's phone, turns out you're missing a lot. So the more you use this phone, the more you look for weaknesses, the more impressive it gets. So maybe what? You're a screen snob, right? You like to pixel peep. Maybe you were thinking about getting one of the ultra high-end Oppo or Xiaomi phones just for an amazing screen.
Lots of sun.
Alright, well, look no further. Literally one of the best screens in any phone. S24 Ultra has dropped in a class-leading 6.8-inch Quad HD AMOLED display, and it is awesome. These Ultra phones have had, 120 Hz LTPO for a while, and they've been this really sharp Quad HD for a while now too. But now on top of that, two new things. One is it's completely flat, and two is it's much brighter. So there's been this whole new batch of like 2,500 plus nit phones in the past few months that I've seen. This, I think, is the best looking one that I've we've seen so far. So now it's up to a max 2,600 nits, which is awesome. But it also this is the phone you should get. Okay, so what if your primary concern is battery life? Well, you could always get the Energizer phone that we saw at CES at one time, but as far as reasonably smartphones go, it doesn't get much better than this. Again, they're keeping a 5,000 milliamp hour battery, battery for the past 2 years. Why get anything else? So okay, what if then it's just performance is the main thing that you care about? You got this! Okay, so we're seeing all these phones with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 starting to come out, and they're looking really good. Great high-end performance. And the stylus but if you're like me and you hardly ever use that, there's still is an A+. Now you could always get a gaming phone and squeeze 5 to 10%. 아직 전투 중이라고.
I consider myself something of a mutant, and no, not because of my freakishly disproportional biceps that look like I've been injecting synthol for years to try and cosplay as SpongeBob with the anchor arms, but because of my superhuman ability to not feel cringe. However, I do have a kryptonite, a subject that always makes me uncomfortable and squirm in my chair a little bit, overflowing with cringe. The cup runneth over on cringe. And I've actually recorded this section 8 times now because I keep fucking fumbling my words around like I've taken a moron potion. But it's just something that's difficult for me to speak on because I'm super passionate about it, but I really don't like to talk about it publicly, but I want to for this video because I think it's important to clear up confusion about something I've been doing recently in regards to it. I'll stop beating around here. This subject is talking about things that I do with the intent of helping others. For obvious reasons, I don't like to call attention to things I do privately, like giving money for charities or individuals in need or anything like that, because it feels douchey to do so. It feels like it'd be too my own. I never want to do that because it seems like something I'm extraordinarily passionate about. I recognize how completely lucky I've gotten in life, and I just try to use it to help positive to help other people to the best of my ability. While I always prefer that kind of thing to stay private now, I haven't talked about this subject. That's because on Christmas I started doing a fall in love and giving away money. And that's about as public as it gets right there. I've done like 3 or 4 of these streams now, and every time I do them, there's a lot of people around like, I'd like to money here, like what's going on. But I wanted to talk about this again, just to answer all of those questions. I mentioned this like a month or so ago when I was trying to brainstorm ideas on how to make these streams a little more interactive. But all of the suggestions, while they weren't bad or anything, all revolved around mainly like competitions. And like I said, I didn't really want to be a competition. I'd rather just anyone watching have a chance just to get money. So we're just going to keep doing it the way that we started, where my friend J-Mac makes a fresh Google form stream day. You fill out the Google form with the amount you're looking for, what you're using it for, and just randomly go through pure, boring, so many fucking cuts of failure and trying to Frankenstein together. This is a subject that it's very uncomfortable for me to talk about because it just feels weird to be speaking about something like this publicly, but since I do it publicly, I feel like I need to answer the questions as well. So forgive me for how, you know, all over the place this might be. But another question that comes up a lot during this is how much I ask for. Like, what's the upper limit? Well, I would say keep it under $1,000 ideally, because I'm trying to spread this money out to as many people as possible. Basically, I'm taking whatever I get from Twitch every month and just spreading it out to as many people as I can a couple times a month. Which brings me to another question, the frequency. How often do I do these streams? How will I know? Well, I don't have a set schedule or anything, and I give away varies from what I got from Twitch, which goes varies every month. So, I think the way you know is I'm just going to be titling the stream giving away money. That's what I titled the one last week. I called it just giving away money. So, I'll just kind of make it. So I do recognize that a title like that makes it sound like it's some kind of crypto scam that you're going to get like a virus just for tuning into. But again, no fishy business here. That is just what the stream is doing. It's just me going through the Google forms that the viewers fill out in the chat and just picking things at random and fulfilling the requests. Another huge question that gets brought up during these giveaway streams is, do I need PayPal? Right now the answer is, I know I said during the last but as I was trying to set those things up, it wasn't exactly going super smooth. So, for the time being, yes, it's still just PayPal, that's all I have at the moment for it. Also, there was some concern from people when filling out the Google form that I was going to, like, read out their emails or their real name or something like that. Absolutely not. Don't worry, that'd be, like, fucking criminal if I did that. In the Google form, you just put, like, your YouTube chat name or your Twitch username. That would be the name I read out, and everything else stays private. So don't worry about that. I think these are all the main points I wanted to talk about in regards to the streams here. I'm going to continue to do these because I've really enjoyed them, and I like to think that they've it's something that you can expect to see quite a bit more. So yeah, that about sums that up, but I thought it'd be fun to finish this video off with highlights from the last one to kind of get a feel for how these streams go. This is Woomy 1, or just Woomy. $120. I need to buy the new Jujutsu Kaisen game for me and my bro. Oh, I should decline out of respect for you and your brother's relationship. Why? The new Jujutsu Kaisen game looks like dog shit. I'm playing it tomorrow, so we'll see, but it looks fucking horrible. Here. I'll send it, but man, maybe just buy drugs instead or something. Like, yikes. 120 for 2 copies of Jujutsu Kaisen Curse Clash? It looks terrible. But here you go. This one is Seth Clark, College Art Supplies.
As of the writing of this script, we're a few months past the 30-year mark of Generation 9 of gaming, and it's been an interesting generation to say the least. This generation has seen shifts in the gaming industry such as large-scale acquisitions, companies leaning more into gaming subscription services, along with seeing the slow shift towards digital-only media. On top of that, many developers and parent companies of said developers have seen massive layoffs and departures ranging from a few people and into the thousands. At the beginning of the generation, we also saw the first substantial price increase for games since the beginning of Generation 7, taking the price from $60 to $70. Furthermore, a lot of games that have released this generation have launched in a less than ideal state. All in all, Generation 9 has left much to be desired. Hello everyone, my name is Brent, and in this video I'd like to take a look at the past several years of Generation 9 and talk about why I believe this generation kind of sucks. Generation 9 more or less began on November 10th, 2020 with the worldwide launch of the Xbox Series X and S, with the PlayStation 5 launching in North America a couple days later on November 12th, and worldwide a week later. The Xbox Series X launched as the disc version of the Xbox Series consoles and would be priced at $499 US, and the Series S, being its digital-only counterpart, was launched at a respectable $299 US, making it the cheapest way to enter the new generation. The PlayStation 5 also had both a disc and digital version priced at $499 and $399 US, respectively. A suitable number of titles would be available with the launch of these consoles that could be played on either system.
Maybe one day
The
we'll go
PlayStation
on
5
missions
launched
in
with several
Hawaii.
new exclusive titles such as Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Demon's Souls remake, and the preloaded onto all consoles tech demo Astro's Playroom. However, even though the Xbox Series consoles had plenty of games to be played at launch through purchases in Game Pass, there were no notable new first-party titles that would coincide with the launch. Unfortunately, the generation would start on a bad note when both consoles would be struck with COVID-19 pandemic supply issues, along with being constantly bought out by bots and scalpers when stock would become available again. Gamers trying to buy these consoles would struggle with the aforementioned supply issues for over 12 months, with the problem beginning to dissipate substantially after about 18 months. It wouldn't be until late 2022 or early 2023 when these consoles would truly be readily available. Thankfully, PlayStation, Xbox, and many third-party developers took notice of this, and throughout 2021, gaming producers did their best to provide their new games on both Gen 8 and Gen 9 consoles. Along with doing the